Sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties. Are you guys back? I'll wait for you guys to get back in. I'm going to wait for a few minutes before so everybody can get in before we can get started. Hey, Derek, what's up? Hi, guys. All right, you guys are starting to come in little by little. So give me a shout out if you guys are here. Hello, Jesus. Give me 1 second, guys. Getting the word out that everyone gets here, because I know this a lot of people have been wanting to hear this one. Hey, Eduardo, how you doing, my friend? All right. Let me see. Everyone can hear and see me. Hey, Linda, how are you? So I will have some updates. Hey, Ron, how you doing, my friend? We'll have some updates here, and then towards the end, I'll start answering questions for anybody that's out there in the audience, and I'll do the best I can to answer them to the best of my ability to the information that I have. So I'll be putting this out as well on YouTube, and I should have a podcast about this in the next day or so in regards to everything I'm going to talk about here. It won't be the exact same recording. It'll be a little bit different, but there'll be some stuff there as well. So it has been a very eventful last few days in my world, and I'm sure as in many other worlds as well. So I'll start it up. I'll give it about another minute, and then after that I'll start talking, guys. So I just want to make sure have as many people as we can in here when we get started. If you guys have any questions, if you want to throw a quick question out before I get started, I will answer it as best of my ability. So just give it about another 30 seconds, and then I'll get started, guys. Now, I know a lot of you here are going through a lot, going through a heck of a lot with this whole Distribber thing. It was really hard to find the link. Let me actually put that out. Thank you, Linda, for that. I'll put it out. I'll put the link out everywhere. Hold on a second, so I can make sure it's everywhere. 1 second. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so let me see here. All right, 1 second. I'm going to paste the link out on all the platforms real quick, guys. It'll give me a minute, and then we'll get started. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully it will be worth it. I think I have some pretty interesting stuff to talk about today. Okay, and I'm going to hit this real quick. Almost here, guys. Just give me 1 sec. And if anybody has any information that I don't know about and wants to share it with the group, please put it, make a comment in the show, and I will be more than happy to talk about it as much as we can. Okay, and all right, guys. So let me just tweet this out real quick. All right. Okay, guys. So last week, as many of you know, last week I did a podcast and a Facebook Live about what's going on with the Distribber, the company Distribber, the film aggregator, who is having problems to say the least. And a lot of the information that I talked about last week, as they're possibly going bankrupt. They are not in a good financial place. They're not calling or talking to people, as it's taking forever to get anything done. All of those things I talked about last week. So I'm going to have a few confirmations that I have gotten from the community, from the tribe, since our talk last week. It has now been confirmed that both Distribber and Go Digital's offices have been closed. Go Digital is the company that owns Distribber. Both of their offices are closed. So there is no physical address, because I had multiple people out there in the tribe that went to their offices and saw that the offices had been shut down. One specific guy, Rich, he actually went and spoke to the business, the building manager, and the building manager had no idea that they had left or that they're going under or whatever. And they asked if they had seen anybody with any moving boxes or anything like that coming out of there, because everybody's hard drives are there. And I know a lot of filmmakers are concerned that their movies are sitting there in a room somewhere, and they're afraid of piracy. They're afraid if someone gets a hold of it, all this kind of stuff. From what I understand, from what Rich reported back, was that a few weeks ago, that a group of people with boxes came in and emptied out the place. So those hard drives of all of our movies are no longer there, to my knowledge. Again, I cannot confirm specifically what's in those boxes, but deduction says that they probably pulled out a lot of all the things that were worth of any sort of value, hard drives and so on. So if anyone from Distribber is listening, and I'm sure a couple of you might be, because I've been reached out to a couple times from some people over at Distribber. I'm doing this because I want people to feel some sort of information to come back to them, because I know you guys are going through your reorganization and people are really nervous about what's going on. One other thing I had a friend of mine do. She actually went to Amazon and basically did a search for just the word Distribber, and almost 1,000 films have been uploaded from Distribber to Amazon Prime as of right now. They might have been under other names, other situations, but at minimum, there's almost 1,000 films up there right now. So that's 1,000 films, 1,000 filmmakers that don't have access to their films. And that's also 1,000 filmmakers that have money coming in from Amazon going directly to Distribber. And that money is not finding their way back to the filmmaker. So that is probably a problem. And I'm assuming money is still coming in. I cannot confirm that, but someone's making money on it. If they're still up and they're still being rented and watched on Prime, someone's generating revenue off of that. And where is that revenue going is something, we'll talk about a little bit more moving in a minute or so. Next thing is, I want you to be really very well aware is that the agreement that, and I've had a couple people call me from or reach out to me from Distribber, that the agreement you sign with them is a non-exclusive agreement. It does not lock you into anything with them other than whatever deal as far as payment and so on. But as far as getting your movie down, there should be absolutely no reason why those films are not being pulled off. Now, there has been a lot of chatter in the Facebook group that I started, Protect Yourself from Distribber, and I'll put a link to it. If someone can actually copy and paste it while I'm talking and put it in the comment, that'll be great. But I'm sure most of you have already heard about it. There's been a lot of chatter, a lot of talk about not asking to pull down your movie because it might negate any kind of revenue or settlement that might come down the pike later on, and that's what attorneys are saying. Filmmakers' attorneys are saying. By the way, anything I say here, please run through an attorney. I am not an attorney. I am not legal counsel. This is just my advice, my personal opinion. But I would definitely reach out to an attorney to talk about what your options are. I'm going to lay out basically 2 scenarios for you, and then you've got to make the decision as far as pulling your movie off or not, because that is it's a big problem right now. It's a big conversation a lot of filmmakers are having, and a lot of concerns about what I can't control my movie anymore. So scenario number 1 is that you leave your movie up there and you wait to see what happens. What happens with if there's a bankruptcy or an influx of cash comes in and the company comes back up and starts paying everybody off, which is a magical place, but sure, it might happen. Why not? And if you've pulled your movie off, you're not going to get your money back. Well, scenario 1 is if there's a huge amount of money going to come into this company, what are the chances of that happening? Nil to none. The brand of Distribber has pretty much been cockeyed over this entire scenario. I don't think that the name Go Digital or Distribber will be able to come out as a film aggregator anymore. I don't even know if they'll have their licenses to be able to upload to the platforms that that gave them those licenses. I don't think they're going to even have those anymore after this debacle. So chances of Distribber coming back out of this, in my personal opinion, is going to be very difficult. It's not impossible, just very difficult, very challenging to say the least. So if you wait for all of this happens and you leave your movie up there, so that's plan 1, that you left your movie up there in hopes that you're going to get all that money that's owed to you back. The situation is if you don't get your money back and that company does go bankrupt, you've not only lost the money that you owe, because chances are you will never see a dollar from that if they go bankrupt, because you're not first in line by any stretch. But secondly, you will lose your movie in the bankruptcy, meaning that it will be locked up in bankruptcy for however long that period takes. It could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 2 or 3 years. Who knows? And now you as a filmmaker have no access to the movie that you have, made, and you have no way of generating revenue on these platforms because you can't upload 2 of the same movie to Amazon. So Amazon will not take down your movie from their platform unless the company or the aggregator that put it up takes it down for you. And that's just the way it is to my knowledge. If someone out there knows something different, please comment. If anything I'm saying, if someone knows better or has a better take on it, I'm all ears. I am not the expert in this by any stretch of the imagination. This is the information that's been provided to me. By the way, after last week's podcast and live broadcast, I was inundated with calls from film distributing executives, people from the inside, people inside the business. I mean, I was getting information left and right. So thank you for everybody who's come forward and shine some light on this situation, because that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking about, and what I am talking about has come from those sources. So I do truly appreciate that. I didn't plan on being the tip of the spear when it came to this, but I'm here. And I have no problem doing it. It is part of what I do with Indie Film Hustle and helping filmmakers and making sure they're protected as much as humanly possible. Now, I wanted to talk about a little bit bigger issue here. And I wanted to kind of go over, because there's a little bit of miscommunication and misunderstanding what a film aggregator really is. When the film platforms launched years ago, they set up basically 5 big companies to be aggregators. Okay, and everybody, including the studios, had to use these companies to aggregate their films to the platforms. And understandably, I completely understand, except for Amazon, which we'll talk about in a minute. Because as, let's say, you're Netflix, you don't want 10,000 filmmakers pitching your movie, dealing with technical issues, upload, download, didn't pass QC, don't have this file, that can't put that in there, the closed caption doesn't work. All of that, they don't have the time to deal with that. So they forced everybody to be funnel up. They forced everybody to kind of funnel into these companies for just optimization. And it makes perfect sense, and these companies would take a fee for this, for all this kind of work that they're doing with the encoding and making sure everything is right and all this kind of stuff. Then a lot of times some of these companies opened up little filmmaker labels where they were able to go out and pitch directly to filmmakers. And there's a handful of those companies as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're just marketing their services to an audience, which are filmmakers, independent filmmakers. And with that marketing, like, oh yeah, for a certain price, I can get you up on the platforms, and you can make money with it. We won't take any percentage, or we'll take a small percentage, or whatever their business models are. But they were able to do something like that. Now, the question is that you need to ask yourself, and then I'm going to go into something a little bit more interesting in a minute. But the question you have to ask yourself, if as an independent filmmaker, if you have a film and you're going to spend $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on uploading your films to different platforms, is that going to be a good ROI? Is that going to be a good return on investment? What are the chances of you just recouping your expenses to upload your films to the platforms? Does it make sense? It makes sense for a lot of films, but it doesn't make sense for a lot of others. And they'll spend their money. And by the way, aggregators will never tell you, this film is never going to make a dime on iTunes. They'll never tell you that. Why? Because they're in business for them to do a service for you, regardless of, they're not going to tell you if your movie is good or not. It's not their business. It's your business to understand that. So don't expect them to guide you on this process. They're not going to. It's not their business. Their business is to provide a service and get your films up to those platforms. So you need to be very truthful and ask yourself the question, is my film going to make this money back? And I know a lot of filmmakers who spent a lot of money putting their films up there, and because they don't understand marketing, or because they don't understand how this whole system works, the movie just sits there and they make no money with it. None whatsoever. And they're just like, oh my God, we've made no money. And I've already spent $3,000, let alone the $50, $100, $200, $300,000 I spent on the movie. Because there's a preconceived notion that if you just throw your movie up on iTunes or on Amazon or on everything, magically people will find you. And it doesn't work that way. You've got to market your film intensely to an audience, to a niche audience specifically, if you can, to get people to either buy, rent, or watch your film on a streaming platform or on a subscription service where you would get paid something. So that's the deeper question about aggregators you need to ask yourself, because all the aggregators are going to do is sell their services, and they're going to sell their services as the end all be all, because we're going to protect you from the evil predatory film distributors. And you know what? I did a podcast episode a few weeks ago in regards to predatory film distributors, because it's a problem. It's a huge problem. And aggregators came along as kind of like the savior of the independent filmmaker. Like, oh, you don't need to go through them. You can go through us and you keep all the money. But the thing they don't tell you is, like, if you don't have the marketing muscle behind it or understand any of that, you're not going to make any money, and they're just going to take your money. So it's just another way of doing it. Does the model work? Possibly, for a lot of filmmakers. I have multiple people on my show that have had very, very big success self-distributing your films through these aggregators. But those people had huge audiences and understood marketing, understood how to attack niche audiences, how to create product. It's a longer conversation. It's what I do at filmentrepreneur.com. It's exactly what that's that business model, understanding your niche audience, selling to that niche audience, and so on. Now, the big problem, which no one's really talking about this whole system, is the money. It's always about the money, isn't it? The way the system was set up is that you, as a company, a distributor, by the way, all distributors have this. Very few distributors have direct access to these platforms. Very few. Amazon is the exception. Everybody has access to those to upload to a film on Amazon, but not everyone's going to have 68 territories accessible to them. If you upload it yourself, you're only going to get, I think, 2 or 3 at this point, and that's it. If you go through a distributor that has a direct responsibility, a direct connection with Amazon, you'll be able to get onto 60, 70 platforms and more if you do subtitling to other categories and other languages. But every distributor has to go through them. The studio system goes through them. Disney, Warner's, Paramount, Universal, all of them go through aggregators. It's the way the system is set up. Netflix, everybody does it. Okay? Amazon is the only exception to my knowledge that allows individuals to do it. But there are some distributors, some larger distributors that have direct access. But nobody has direct access, to my understanding, to iTunes other than these 5 aggregation companies. So the system is set up that you have to go through these companies, right? And those companies they're the doorway to these platforms for a lot of filmmakers and for a lot of distributors and distribution companies. The problem is that then the money comes, where does the money go? So if I make a deal with Netflix or with Hulu, the money doesn't come to me from Hulu or Netflix. It goes to the aggregator. And then the aggregator is responsible to pay you. This is where we're at with the distributor situation, right? But the problem is that with all of the insane technical requirements that the platforms placed on the aggregators, they put no requirements in regards to financial. No fiduciary responsibility. No, I have to put it in a separate account. No, nothing. There is no requirements from the platforms to regulate or set up some sort of, just requirements for making sure that the filmmakers get paid. Now, the system's been running smoothly, very nicely for a while. Obviously, there's a hiccup now with Distribber. Something happened. I don't know if we'll ever know exactly what happened behind the scenes, but something happened. Filmmakers aren't being paid right now. So money is not there, or else money or people would get paid. So that system, there's a problem because the platforms got paid. Someone rented it on iTunes, they got their 30%. People are watching it on Netflix, they got paid. Netflix is being paid by the subscriptions, right? But the filmmaker or the distribution companies have to wait for this aggregator, this company, to pay them. Again, the system's been working fine, and it wouldn't be in the company's best interest not to pay. But I'll throw a scenario out at you. If the studios, the big accounts, the Disneys, the Warner Brothers, the Paramounts, the Universals, Lionsgate, all these kind of guys, right? If they decide to set up their own direct access to the platforms, which they could easily do in-house. This happened with post-production years ago. Before, all the studios would go outside to big post-production houses to do all their post-production. And now they do it all internal because they said, well, why are we spending all this money out there when we could just do it internally? This makes no sense. But a company like Disney or like Warner Brothers could easily just go to all the platforms and go, we're going to do this internally, and we're going to dictate the terms if you want our content on your platforms. And they could do that. Now, if they pulled all of those accounts away from these 5, the big aggregators, how would that affect everybody else? How would that affect you, me, smaller distribution companies? How would they be affected by all of this? Would they survive? I don't know. How does that affect us? The whole system seems to be a little bit uncertain. It just seems like, I don't know. So it's just a question I'm proposing to everybody listening out there. The system has been set up this way, but as this situation that we're in has shown us, there's a crack in the system. And if this crack is not fixed properly, it could be a much larger situation going down the line. We're still in a place where, we have the ship has not hit the iceberg, but we see the iceberg coming. We are the Titanic, and we do see the iceberg coming. We could still turn away, but this system, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, if it's going to continue to work or not. So I want you as independent filmmakers, as people part of my tribe, as far as the part of Indie Film Hustle and part of Film Entrepreneur and everybody else who's listening, to ask yourself the question, what makes sense? Now, I know a lot of you out there are going to ask me, well, Alex, well, then what the hell do we do with our movies? Who do we trust? I'm like, all we could do is try to find companies that have direct relationships with these platforms. And then when you're talking to distributors and talking to traditional distributors, ask them straight up, is there an account, an escrow account that all the money comes into where the money is split off? Or is it all in one big pot that everyone just, uses? These are questions that need to be asked, because right now there is no requirement for it. There is no fiduciary responsibility from these platforms. And unlike a distributor there's thousands of distributors you can choose from, there's basically 5 big aggregators. And that's it. So we're being forced by the platforms to use these aggregators to get our films up on their platforms. But there's requirements technically, but there are no requirements to make sure that we get paid and make sure that we're taken care of. And I'm not talking about just the little independent filmmaker. I'm talking about studios. I'm talking about distributors that have 500, 800 films up through these aggregation systems. It's a bigger, larger question that needs to be answered. So I'm just proposing that out there as just a question that people really need to ask moving forward, because it's something that I kind of hinted to last week, but after multiple conversations and really just sitting down and thinking about it, what does this mean for all of us moving forward? Is this a one-off as far as distributors concerned? Or is this a systemic problem that is something that we really, as an industry, need to look at before it's too late? Because if filmmakers can't get their films up on these platforms, if distributors can't get their up to these platforms, the platforms are going to hurt. We're going to hurt. Everyone's going to hurt. We got to figure out something that makes sense for us. But I think this is a serious conversation to be had moving forward in this scenario. So I'm going to open it up to questions. I know everyone's been quiet listening to me. Thank you so much. Let me see here. I got a couple questions here. Let me see. Mine pulled up 2 days ago. Okay, so as far as getting your movies pulled off, if you want to get your movies pulled off of Distribber, you need to reach out to them. Just based on your contract alone, you should be able to just ask them to pull it off. And if they're smart, who knows, they'll pull it off. And I have been getting reports back again that movies have been being pulled off. I've had my movie pulled off from some platforms, still waiting on others. So they are being pulled off little by little. I know they're shorthanded. I know they don't have the 40 people that they used to have. So it might take a little longer to do. But if you're listening, just communicate with people, man. Just drop an email saying, look, we're working on it as fast as we can. You will be pulled off by X date. We are actively, from this date on, we have terminated that agreement with that company for your film, expected to be out. Like, you just got to communicate, man, because people are freaking out here. So you just got to communicate. Let me see. Thank you, Linda. So if anybody is not part of the group of the Protect Yourself from Distribber Facebook group where everyone's talking and sharing information and stuff, just go to facebook.com/group/groups/Distribber, and that'll take you straight there. And the link is in the comments. Let's see. So Linda's saying, besides, if there is a bankruptcy, the receiver will want all the revenue they've collected from Amazon and other platforms. It's very true. If Amazon's listening, or if any of the platforms are listening, this is something that you all have to figure out. Because if you're collecting money for filmmakers and for companies, and that money is being, you're just sending it off blindly to Distribber at this point, and Distribber hasn't told you, no, stop. Where's that money going to go? How is that money going to be distributed? These are questions that need to be answered. Jesus, it is very scary, especially if you're involved. You know, like I told you, I'm owed a lot of money from Distribber as well, and we're all hoping to see something happen, man. We really are. But I think personally, my big thing was to get my movie back, because that makes more sense to me. Then that way I could at least put it on another platform, go with another, you know, partner with another traditional distributor, or something along those lines to get the film out there so I could start generating money with it again. If not, it could be locked up for two years, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're done, and you can't make money on those major platforms anymore. So something to think about. Let me see here. These platforms should be prepared. Yeah, the platforms really should have some sort of system in place like this. Like Amazon is a perfect example of this. Amazon pays you directly. You know, they don't, you know, even if you go through an aggregator or if you go through a distribution company, obviously they're going to pay those companies. But if you go directly to them, they pay you directly. There is no middleman at that point. And by the way, I don't know how long that's going to last. You know, Amazon tomorrow can just say, we're done. We're not going to accept movies like this anymore. We're not going to accept independent films from independent filmmakers. You got to go through this or this channel to make it happen. So it is, and by the way, getting up on Amazon technically is a pain in the butt. And they do that purposefully to kind of weed out as many lower quality projects as humanly possible. But it is a pain in the butt to get everything up exactly the way that Amazon wants it to, by the way. Let me see. Let's see. Let me get back. Any other questions? Just ask questions, guys. I'm just going through these real quick. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Yeah, I know if anyone from Distribber is here, please say something. Say something, or, you know, make a statement, man. Go on your website and just like close it completely and put a big sign up that says, we're going through a reorganization. Boom, 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 boom. If you need help to get your movies pulled off, here it is. If you want to talk about how we're going to get paid back, here's what you do. Like something, guys. But right now, this is why I'm out here talking, because you guys aren't. So if you guys could take the conversation over, I'll be more than happy to stop talking, because trust me, I'd much rather be doing something else. But this is of value to my audience, so I have to do it. Early this year, but I was email. Support at Distribber's email is the best email that I know of. You could try accounting at distribber.com. I know that Rich, if you go to the Facebook group, Rich laid out a lot of contact information there. I don't sure how good or bad those are, but if you want to go there, it's in the posts on the platform. So if you want to go there, if you want to see other people's emails, you can try there. There are a number of distributors that have direct deals with these companies. I'm not sure what those deals are, and I'm not sure which companies there are, but there are a handful. There's not a lot, but there are a handful. The only one that everybody has to go through these is iTunes, of course, Apple. And you know, iTunes in general has not performed very well for filmmakers, especially in the independent space, for a while. It's been let's say several years at this point. They're just not performing because TVOD in general is not, you know, transactional video on demand is not doing as well as it used to, where subscriptions doing better and AVOD, advertising video on demand, or ad supported video on demand, is doing much better than TVOD is concerned. So iTunes in a lot of ways is a vanity platform. Everybody just wants to be up there because it's iTunes. And trust me, I get it. My film's up there. You want to be up on that one. It's a major platform. But not many people are renting. A lot of people are renting or buying movies, let alone independent movies. You have to think about that, you know. They might buy the big studio stuff, but they're not buying or renting as much as they used to. And I think that is a trend that will probably continue to go, is it will be less and less transactional, buying of movies and selling of movies. I think it'll always be around in one way, shape, or form. Why wouldn't it be? But I don't think it's going to be a major moneymaker for filmmakers. I think the future will probably be ad-based films, ad-based video on demand, and subscription-based video on demand. Because I know a lot of filmmakers making a ton more money on Amazon Prime than they did renting or selling their film. So that's a larger conversation, but that's generally what I think about that. So Chris, I know a lot of people are in the same boat as you are. They've been trying to get some sort of response from Distribber since July, and it's been dead silent. So all I could suggest you do, guys, is just keep pounding them as much as you can. Look at the other emails that Rich has up in the group, and see if you can reach anybody through those emails. See if those work at all. There are no offices to go to. There is no phone number to call. It's a scary scenario. It's an unprecedented scenario that nobody has done before. This has not happened before in this business. To my knowledge, with an aggregator, it hasn't. It's happened with distributors, small distributors, a little larger distributors, but that a company just completely blacks out people that are owed tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and have their films locked up through their company is something unheard of. It's just nothing that's happened before, and I truly hope it doesn't happen moving forward. Best aggregator alternatives right now. I don't want to publicly say any company. There are some really good companies out there. Those people are out there right now. I can tell you what I'm doing. I have my films with Indie Rights with Linda and Michael. They're excellent. They've been around for a long, long time and been very, I've heard nothing but praises from them from every filmmaker that's ever worked with them. And I've spoken to a lot of filmmakers who've worked with them. So they're not right for every movie, but if it means anything, I'm using them for my movie. But both my films are going to be with her now. And if I'm saying that, I could easily self-distribute my films directly to my audience, but I chose her and chose Michael to do it with Indie Rights. So that's just one alternative. There are a handful. Film Hub out there is another alternative that has that I've heard very good things up as well. And there's a few others out there as well. You've got to do your research. Just do your due diligence and try to find other filmmakers who have had good, successful relationships with traditional distributors. There are good ones out there, but they're rare. It's like unicorns. I mean, they're not. I mean, the majority of them are, not good. They're predatory. A lot of them are, but a lot of them are pretty good, depending on who you talk to. And just do your research, and you'll find out. And also just look at their deals. Look at the deals. Look at the expenses. Look at what the cut is. What are they promising? Things like that. You just have to kind of look into it. That's a much longer conversation, and I have podcasts about that aspect of the business. And not to plug my new book, but my new book talks a lot about that as well, The Rise of the Film Entrepreneur. And on that podcast as well, I talk a lot about distribution, about all the kind of fine print that you have to look out for. Let me see. It is and it isn't easy to get up. Cindy, it isn't easy to get up on Amazon. I mean, technically, if you got your stuff tight, you can put it up there, but you're only available in 2 to 3 territories. Where if you go within a traditional distributor, depending on that distributor, they can reach, arguably in English alone, 60 to 70 platforms. So it's something that you should maybe look into. But if you just want to put it up and drive traffic and do and Prime on your own, God bless you. Godspeed, do it. It makes a lot more sense to do it that way. At least it's somewhere, and you can at least focus all your energies on Amazon. So, as long as you have the technical specs covered, then you should be good. So, I know a lot of people have been asking about Jason Brubaker, and he I have spoken to Jason a couple times, and he does feel pretty bad about all this. And, I don't know what he's going to do as far as speaking in the future about this, but I know he feels extremely terrible about it. And, he left the company 4 or 5 months ago at this point. So he was an employee. I'm not defending him. I don't know what happened, but I do know that he does feel ridiculously horrible about this whole situation. And that's all I'm going to say about Jason. Hopefully we'll hear from Jason in the future and he can shed some light on what's going on from his perspective. But I did want to, because I know a lot of people have been asking about this, and he is limited to what he can say and cannot say, being a former employee. That's pretty much all I can say about where he's at this point. But you can reach out to him through his Filmmaking Stuff website or Filmmaking Stuff Facebook page, and maybe he'll get in contact with you. But he will not be able to help you with anything dealing with Distribber, because he is no longer there, hasn't been there for 4 to 5 months. Let's see. You know what, Chris? A lot of people have been asking about a class action lawsuit on behalf of the affected filmmakers. Godspeed. If you guys want to try to put something together, go for it. But at the end of the day, if there's no blood in the stone, there's no blood in the stone, So even if you're awarded, $100 million, they don't got the money to pay that. So I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the expense. It's worth if there's an attorney out there who's going to do something like this, entertainment attorney or something like that. I don't know. That's a question for an attorney, not for me. But I don't know how effective a class action lawsuit would be against a company like this who's in financial hard times, really in a bad place. If it was a large corporation that had, hundreds of billions of dollars, that's a different conversation. But this is not that situation, so I'm not sure how effective it will be. But again, that's just my opinion. You should definitely reach out to an entertainment attorney to ask their opinion on this. Okay. As far as making, and a lot of people are asking, what about making money with your movie? And how can you do it if you're not working on these streaming platforms? That's why I opened up Filmtrepreneur. I'm trying to teach filmmakers how to create multiple revenue streams from their films and not depend solely on distribution companies, solely on the traditional legacy model of making money with their movies. There are other options. Is there a place for those companies? Absolutely. There's no question about it. If you can find a good company that you want to work with, absolutely. But it should be part of a much bigger business plan. And, that's why I opened up Filmtrepreneur. And that's why I'm writing my book, Rise of the Filmtrepreneur, because I really want to inform filmmakers as much as possible that there is another option. And I try to lay out a full blueprint on how you could do that with tons and tons of case studies of people who have done it. It is possible. And it's not like lottery ticket examples. These are people that started off like you and me with nothing and really was able to build something out of it. So there are other options out there, but it's a longer conversation as well. Let's see. Oh, and a lot of people have been asking about, thank you, Linda. A lot of people have been asking about Apple TV Plus moving forward when it opens up, and they're hoping that will have a subscription-based monetization. Can't say the word. Sorry, monetization. Sorry, it's been a long weekend. You're not going to be able to make money. They want. Hopefully, there's a way that independent filmmakers can make money, like through an Apple TV subscription service, like you would do on Amazon Prime. Bad news is Apple TV Plus will only be original content. It will not have a subscription model for independent producers of any sort. So no other big studios, no other Lionsgate or Paramount, they're not accepting that content. So we're not going to be accepted either. So if you were hoping for that, it's probably not going to happen. So don't hold on to that. Let's see. Okay. And yeah, there are other aggregators out there, Quiver, Bitmax, Giant, Premiere Digital, all these guys. Like I said before earlier in this broadcast, just ask yourself the questions about the entire system of aggregation in general. And if it makes sense for you financially to make that, don't be desperate, like I have to get my film up on iTunes. You don't have to do anything. If you're going to make money doing it, good. Then do it. If it makes business sense to do it, do it. But like I said earlier, the larger questions in regards to the entire system need to be brought into account. And hopefully someone out there listening will reach out to me or write an article somewhere or, post something about what we can do. And if any of the platforms are listening, please let us know what you think as well, because I know there's a lot of scared filmmakers out here, and this story doesn't seem to be getting any smaller. It seems to be picking up some steam every day that goes by. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's something that someone out there has to kind of address and hopefully squash. I really do hope, not squash in a bad way, but just put out some information for filmmakers. So, yeah, I don't know. There's so many questions in regards to people. Yeah, no, people are still renting. You're right, Cindy. People are still renting, but they're not renting as much, and that's just a fact. As far as independent filmmaking is concerned, they're not making as much money. I've seen the numbers. I've spoken to distributors. I've seen their behind the scenes numbers of what the revenue sources are. And the revenue sources are not iTunes. It's a small percentage of it for independent filmmaking. Are people renting John Wick and Avengers? Absolutely. Are people buying John Wick and Avengers? Absolutely. But are they buying the $50,000, independent film? Maybe besides the parents and the friends of that filmmaker? I don't know. Are there? Sure. I'm sure there's exceptions, and I'm sure people are doing that. And I'm sure people are renting some independent films. But the numbers aren't there, and they haven't been for a long time. And this is coming straight from people who are in the business doing that all the time. Will you be providing additional coverage and updates about Distribber as news develops? Jax, I plan to. If you know, I'm sure after this broadcast, I'm going to get a lot of incoming people coming on to talk about last week, just from that one little podcast and one broadcast I did, I've been inundated with people calling me and sources wanting to be off the record to talk to me about stuff. And that's exactly what I'll do. If more information comes in that is pertinent to helping filmmakers get their money and or their film back, it's something I want. I don't want to, anything I could do to help, I'm here. That's the bottom line. Anything I could do to help, I'm here to help not only my tribe, but any filmmaker out there who's been affected by this. So that's why I opened up this group, so people can go talk, see the latest update. If you have not signed up for this group, guys, sign up for the group so you can see the latest of what everything is happening. A lot of the information I talked about here came from that group and from other places as well. So it's something that you should definitely do. Sign up for those and see what's happening. This is an ever evolving story. And I have, by the way, reached out to multiple of the big media, the big trades. Haven't heard anything back, and nobody's writing about this, guys. Nobody is writing about this. No one's talking about this outside of Indie Film Hustle, which is a sad statement. I mean, this is going to affect thousands of filmmakers, and we're talking about probably millions of dollars owed back to filmmakers, distribution companies, and so on. There's a lot of stuff happening, and nobody's talking about it, and I don't know why. So I'm reaching out to them. Hopefully somebody in the big trades will pick something of this up and shine some more light on the situation. I really hope it does, because it's something that needs to be talked about. Let me see. I have time, because I've been on the phone I've been on the podcast too long already. So I will answer a few more questions, and then I've got to go. I've got to handle all the emails that keep coming into me and all the messages that keep coming into me as well. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and Linda's correct, and that's kind of the basis of Filmtrepreneur, is that if you do have a strong niche audience, and if you have a strong niche of a film, You can do very well on TVOD. Absolutely. You could do very well. People will rent and buy on those platforms if you have a niche, but there has to be a much larger marketing push and strategy behind it for it to work. But it can work without question. You know, I go over it a lot of that in my book in regards to people who made money. I mean, you know, Range 15 made over $3 million specifically on Amazon, you know, for rent from TVOD, Amazon and iTunes only. And then eventually they put it out on SVOD. I don't even think they have it on SVOD yet. I'm not even sure if they put it out on SVOD. But their audience was so niche and so powerful that they were able to generate that kind of revenue with it. So is it possible? Absolutely. But it has to be extremely well done. And all the boxes have to be checked. And you got to be more tactical with it. So it is possible, but it takes a lot more work to do. Oh, okay. So Linda's saying the trades know, but they don't want to be the first to talk about it. Well, that's why I'm here, I guess. I was the first to talk about it. No, I promise you, Eduardo, that Distribber will not be at AFM this year. So I will be at AFM, but they will not be. I'll be walking around doing what I do at AFM as well. So yeah, Linda, they haven't registered. Oh, by the way, also they are. That's another update. Thank you, Linda, for reminding me. Their Twitter is down, and their website is no longer accepting films. It means it's open, it's live, it looks like it is, but when you try to accept, it's no longer accepting films. Thank God, because someone listened to me when I emailed them, and someone was like, I kept telling them, I'm like, guys, stop accepting movies, and they did. Thank God. So that's been very helpful. Amy, I'm glad to be of service and help start this conversation. It's something that we needed to really do. Yeah, I know, and I know, Eduardo. A lot of people have said the same thing, that they have not. They've had movies up there since March, since last year, and they have not received reports. They have not received payments, and this has been an ongoing problem. But it's, I think, hit the head in recent weeks. So, all right, guys. If there's any last question, I'll answer one last question. You're welcome, Carlos. That's why I'm here. That's what I do. You know, I gotta stay on brand. I gotta hustle and help you guys out as much as I can. Thank you guys for listening. If there's any new developments, I'm not planning to do a daily Distribber update, but I will update. If anything major happens, I will update everybody about it. If not, please check out the Facebook group, Protect Yourself from Distribber, where all the information, all the updates will be posted there. But if there's anything major, I'll be more than happy to come out. We'll be talking about, we'll be releasing a podcast in regards to what we've been talking about. But I don't want to turn this into all about this and this only. So I will be doing other things as well, and I have other things I'm going to be announcing later in the week as well. So, but I'm here to help, guys. I'm here to help and help you as much as I possibly can. Yeah, Paco, I would love to interview somebody from Distribber, but I don't know how many of them are willing to come on my show. So we'll see. Thank you. Yeah, please. Thank you, Linda. Of course, that's why I'm here. If there's, if you can, please share this with as many people as you can, guys. Share it with as many people as you can. Get it out there to as many people as you can, because I really want, because there's still people out there who have not heard about Distribber, who are with Distribber and are hearing and they're like, why am I not getting paid? I hope this is going to get out to as many people as humanly possible. So please share everything that we talk about in regards to Distribber, in regards to film aggregators. I want to get this information out to as many people as possible. And last week's podcast, indiefilmhustle.com/345. If you've not heard it, I'll put that. It's in the group. Everything's in the group, guys. Everything's in the group. So just go there. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Good luck. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.